Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the CW and the latest news that is coming out. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. Okay, so as we go into this video, I have a big announcement. The winner of the giveaway for the Flash Season 9, aka the final season on DVD, is in fact Nathan Bell. So congrats Nathan on winning the copy of the Flash Season 9 on DVD. It's going to be coming over to you very soon. So this basically was a competition that all of you guys who bought merchandise could enter until August 28th, and then I put all your names into a hat. Well, basically an online random name picker, and it basically spins a wheel, and Nathan won. So congrats Nathan, that's going to be coming your way. We'll be sure to do some more giveaways in the near future, but for now, if you want to support the channel, the merchandise link is in the link in the description below. Hopefully you guys like it. Send me a photo if you do order any new merch. But for now, let's go ahead and get into today's main topic. So as you guys know, the CW is really in a pickle right now. Obviously, they have a plan in terms of how to make it profitable. We've heard about this non-stop for the last year or so. They've supposedly got a plan as to how to make it profitable whilst also throwing away pretty much all of their shows. And obviously with that, there's going to be a strong reaction against them and the decisions that they're making, because their decisions, which are solely orientated around money, obviously have a huge impact on the people who work on these shows, right? You have people behind the scenes who are the camera people, the props people, everything like that. They rely on these certain shows continuing throughout the year for 9 months a year. It's a great job to have, right? But also the people like the actors, they can't work on the shows because their specific show has been cancelled. Like, look at Legends, look at Gotham Knights. Like, of course Gotham Knights would have continued, but it didn't because the CW cancelled it. And so an article actually caught my attention just earlier today. The title of the article from Yahoo News is "Nancy Drew Boss Slams the CW After the Show's Cancellation." So we're going to get into this because I think this is very interesting, and it's one of the first instances of someone speaking out about the way that the CW has treated its past shows. Obviously, this has been since Nexstar took over, and obviously the whole regime has changed. Like, Mark Pedowitz went out, he left the company because he just didn't like what he was seeing, and you know, Brad Schwartz, the new head of the network, pretty much has been very, very ruthless as to all the other shows. They're axing shows left, right and center, and there's pretty much just about 4 original shows left on the network, and otherwise they are planning to just bring in other shows which they bought from other countries, places that have already shown these shows like abroad, and now they're bringing it to America for the first time. Plus they're getting big into sports, they're getting big into non-fiction, and basically trying to bring down their costs. But let's go ahead and read this article. So Nancy Drew aired its season 4 finale this week, which ended up serving as the show's overall ending after the network, the CW, pulled the plug on the famous investigator's latest outing. Nancy Drew was a pretty big show. Obviously it didn't get the best ratings, but I think a lot of people liked it. And it just serves as a big example of what I think a lot of the showrunners and a lot of the people who've worked on the shows are feeling. And so that's why I need to talk about this today. So executive producer Larry Teng has hit out at the network for not telling him about the decision as soon as it was made, explaining that it didn't leave much room to turn season 4's last episode, which was definitely planned to be a season finale, not a series finale, into a proper conclusion for years worth of storytelling. So over on Twitter, Teng wrote, "From what I've read, the reaction to the series finale has been mostly positive. Now imagine if you watch the finale without us knowing it would be the last episode of Nancy Drew ever, because that's almost what happened." And obviously this is all down to the CW and them being indecisive about which shows we're cancelling. Obviously we had that whole saga with Superman Lois and Gotham Knights. We were like, okay, which show's going to get cancelled? Is it the more expensive show, Superman Lois? Is it the cheaper show, Gotham Knights? Would they prefer to go with that? Well, they made a decision finally, and obviously they made big cutbacks for Superman Lois in order to continue it, but we've seen that. And so this nearly happened to Nancy Drew in the case that it got cancelled while they were actually planning to go on to a next season. We've seen that with all the different shows. Like Legends didn't get an ending. It wasn't the way that they wanted to end it. Like there was no final conclusion, and the CW just cancelled it, so we never got to see that, and fans are mad about that. So Teng goes on to explain that Nancy Drew actress Kennedy McMahon was due to film The Good Lawyer, a TV show, and asked what her Nancy Drew schedule was going to be like so she could do both shows. So the producers at CBS asked the CW's president on her behalf. It was then he said to us, "Oh, we're not picking you up. The show is too expensive." Had our studio not made that call, who knows if we would have ever been told. At that point in the season, there were only 4 episodes left to shoot, and the writers were already breaking the finale. What a effing shitty way of telling us that we're getting cancelled. Thank God the studio called, because you all deserve the most proper ending possible, and that's why I praise the writers for pulling it together. At the end, it was so glib. He added that the networks have every right to cancel a show if it's not profitable, but stated that the decision to withhold the news of the acts showed no consideration for the staff or the fans. To have known in advance and not tell us until a random call 3/4 into our season is just plain effing disrespect. So there you go, that is the Nancy Drew showrunner hitting out at the CW as an example of what probably the showrunners of Legends, the showrunners of Gotham Knights, they probably had calls like that where they got last minute calls, maybe even Stargirl, and they were told, no, your show's too expensive, we're not picking you up. But I think what he points out is very true, and I feel like we're all seeing that with the CW right now, and that is the absolute lack of care coming from Nexstar. Like, they didn't even care enough to tell the showrunner, oh, we're not picking you up, the show is too expensive. No, he had to receive a call by CBS, the studio that actually produces the show, as they were approaching the 4 final episodes of their current season, to be told, you're cancelled. And pretty much if they didn't make that call, I guess they wouldn't have been told. And that would have been a big deal, because I think that's what happened to Legends of Tomorrow. They weren't told until it was too late, and they'd already shot their finale thinking they would have another season, and so that's why there wasn't a proper conclusion. So, this is just a great example of how bad the CW is right now, and I think the way that it's definitely heading towards. And so I think it's really important that some of the creatives behind the scenes actually come out and call the CW out for being absolutely terrible to their fans, but most importantly to their staff and to the people that literally work underneath them, and they're producing content for their network whilst they actually don't care about that content. They're waiting for this old regime of the CW to kind of phase out, and they're ready to cancel everything. They've cancelled everything. So I'm really worried about Superman, Lois, and the remaining shows on the network. Like, clearly these guys do not care. It's just all about money for them, as we've said a million times, and I just don't think this is the right way to go, and I really hope the CW does flop. I've said this before, I know it sounds mean, but really they've got to learn a lesson. I feel like it's just not the way to operate, and of course this is just the first instance of someone calling them out. Maybe they've treated the Superman Lois people better, but I don't think it's going to be much better than what we're seeing right here. And the same thing could go for Superman Lois if it flops in the next season or something. Like, it could be the end of the Arrowverse as we know it, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, shout out to Larry Teng for actually posting this online and giving us an insight as to how the CW are, and the fact that there is no consideration for the fans or the staff or anything to do with the show, because this show obviously didn't go on as long as some of the other shows, but it still had a big fan base, and so it's just such a bad way to be told you're getting cancelled, and they didn't even bother to tell them early enough so they could actually change the ending with good time. They had to rush their ending. They had to redo that final episode. They had to overwork the writers and get them to do it. So clearly they don't care about anyone, and in the whole scope of things with the writer's strike right now, that's just emphasizing how bad it is to be a writer, especially under the guise of these studios, or in the case of the CW, the network, and the fact that they don't care. Like, they don't care about the writers. They don't care that they've written the episode, that they have to go back and work on it again, and also they don't care about their showrunners who have to think and go back to the drawing board. Okay, how can we actually properly end the show if this is our final episode? They've taken no consideration, they've left it to the last minute, and by all accounts, they probably wouldn't have told them if push didn't come to shove. So that is what we are dealing with. That's the CW right now. So that's another update video on the CW and what has been said by the Nancy Drew boss. It's really terrible, and I really hope this doesn't happen to any other show, but I feel like it's very likely that it did happen, as the other shows were all getting cancelled. So thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, shout out to Nathan for winning the giveaway. It's going to be coming your way, Nathan, don't worry about that. And thank you to everyone else who has bought merch and has supported the channel, whether it's just watching videos, coming on live streams and supporting. A big thank you to everyone for supporting what I do. And so for now, please be sure to leave a like and a comment to get this video out there. Also subscribe and turn on notifications if you're new around here. And you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video. But for now, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.